Hello there. Welcome to another edition of Comic Cult TV. Normally, this would be our Thursday night FOC show, but that's going to get bumped to the wayside. We have a very special guest in house, but before I get to that, Secret Squirrel, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, doing pretty good. What's up, Comic Cult Nation, and a bunch of others coming in. I like it.
Good,
how y'all
good.
doing?
So, we're bumping the FOC show, and going to spotlight. I'm trying hard not to fanboy out here, man. My favorite artist, what the industry needs today, Dan the Man Fraga.
What's happening?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Feeling good. Happy to be here.
Really?
Hang out with you gents.
To slum it with us and our 35 subscribers to go from couch doodles and Fraga boom. We appreciate it. We're humble.
Ain't no such thing as slumming, dude. All I do is hang out with good people.
See, that's what I say. Everybody loves Fraga. The dude's just so chill, man. He's humble.
Greatly appreciate it, sir. And before we go any farther, I've got to say,
what?
The views and opinions of the Spoiler and the Squirrel do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Comic Cult HD, nor its subsidiaries. Viewer discretion is advised. Basically, what all that says is this right here.
Warning. This video contains super awesome content not suitable for people who don't enjoy super awesomeness. Viewer discretion advised.
What? Can you
I dig it.
Pretty much. Tyler, how you doing?
Tyler's here?
Yeah.
What up, Tyler? So, yeah, like we were talking about earlier, the comics industry, man, it needs your stuff, man. It needs it on the wall.
Well, my stuff is I guess I'd say it may be representative of what comics needs. Comics needs to be comics again instead of pamphlets for garbage, crappy thoughts. Comics need to have the excitement and energy that they had in the 80s and 90s. I mean, we had it all through comics. You can go all the way back to the 40s. Very exciting. Drama, melodrama, good relatable stories, high octane action, and then they decided that nobody wanted that anymore, and they decided wrong. So I represent that. It's not just me; it's a whole bunch of other folks. A lot of us live and do our good work with Comicsgate. And if you want those good types of comics, you just go out and look for Comicsgate books.
Do me a favor. Say hi, Comicsgate.
Hi, Comicsgate. It's
Hello.
Mini Spoiler.
Hey, Mini Spoiler.
Hi.
Quarter spoiler. Go bug your mom now.
Aww.
You can hang
It
out.
sounds like my kids.
Aww.
What's up, J-Bot? I see J-Bot.
Yep,
Nice.
Indeed. Hey, you know what? Since we got people coming over from you, we're going to give them this one right here. I got to do it.
Hello?
That is a classic. I haven't seen that in a long time.
Makes me want some Bud Ice now, man. Shoot, I'm getting thirsty. Hang on.
We started out and I did the alien one, and Spoiler was like, you need to do the Super Friends one, and I was like, oh.
That's the one. That was the one that we emailed that one out to each other all day.
Way before text messages, man. Back in everything had to be email.
Everything was oh yeah, just ridiculous. But no, me and Spoiler, we talk about it all the time about comics need to go back to the 90s. You need like monochrome, the shinies, the die cuts, the cards, like everything, the big booties, a lot of bullets, all that stuff. There's a reason guys are the main consumers of comic books.
Yeah, the thing I remember is there was it was a feeling, and it was exhilaration, and that exhilaration was definitely whipped up by strong imagery and like I said, high octane situations. Of course, we'll be drawn to that. Ain't nothing wrong with some AAT. Ain't nothing wrong with
with the tattoo.
Yeah, nothing wrong with the tattoo.
Dude, like think about this. I mean, all those kids who were pushing those record-setting numbers in the '90s.
Yeah.
They're all our age now, and they've reached their prime earning years. So there's all that discretionary spending, man. And
Yeah.
it's just not there when you go to the wall, on a Wednesday, and you go, "Oh, I got the new Warriors, really?" Oh, shit.
Right. Yeah. Every now and then, I see something I like. I think Daniel Warren Johnson, like
Yeah.
his Beta Ray, gives me a whiff of the old days. Same thing with James Heron on Ultra Mega. That
Yeah.
stuff feels big
A
and
lot of energy.
yeah. Sometimes, not all the time, but Ryan Stegman, his artwork, not necessarily the stories, but his artwork really gets me going. But it's really far and few between. I mean, I remember a day. I always tell people my favorite year in comics, even though it's not '90s. That's why I always say the late '80s and '90s. 1989. I remember walking into a store, being able to pick up. It was sort of the crossover years, right? You had Frank Miller, John Byrne, Walt Simonson, Art Adams, but you could also pick up Dale Keown, Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri, Will Spertasio, and that could be in any given week. And you knew that when you went to the store, most everything was badass.
Yep.
And if you wanted some wimpy shit, they had wimpy shit books too, but that was over there,
Yep.
and that was fine. There were people that bought them, but I didn't go to the store for that stuff.
That was that new universe stuff that they were trying to pump up.
That was '86. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Jim Shooter. Yeah, but right out of high school, you just jumped right into the biz, huh?
Yeah, that was right place, right time. Good fortune. If you're a religious person, God looking out. I wanted to be a comic book artist since I realized that there was a job that you could actually do it as a job. I didn't, I when I first got into comics, I liked them and was thrilled by them, and then I found out that it was an actual job. When I discovered that, I was hyper focused on becoming a comic book artist. I met an artist. One of the first artists I ever met was Eric Larson from Savage Dragon. Yeah, and he told me that I mean, people have heard this story, but he told me I didn't have what it takes. I wish there was that was the nice way of what he said, but he basically said that I didn't have what it takes to become a comic artist and that I should, give up. And that really upset me.
Yeah.
It really upset me so much so that his words were like pouring, nitrogen in my fuel. And I met Rob Liefeld a couple years later, about a year and a half later in 1989, and he gave me a portfolio review. I managed to get his contact info and proceeded to basically pester him through fax machines and phone calls. And at the same time, he was on his way up. Like when I met him, he hadn't done the New Mutants yet. He'd done Hawk and Dove, but he had done an annual, New Mutants annual. He did Spider-Man annual number 23. He had done X-Men fill-in. I know you have that, damn you. I love that piece. Anyhow,
not to distract you.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm totally distracted. When I met him, that had just come out on stands, so there was no Deadpool cable. That none of that stuff was in the public eye yet. So when I befriended Rob and was talking to him, it was during his rise. I remember when he told me he was going to do the Levi's commercial, so I knew about that. And
Dennis Miller.
Yeah. Well, Dennis Miller, I was already working for him by then, but
nice.
The when they decided they were going to leave and start Image Comics, I remember all of the conversations in the months leading up to it. And when he said he was going to put out more than one book, I had already just graduated high school, and he was telling me he needed extra people. I wish it was that book. In fact, it was a different book. It was a book called The Odd. It never came out. It was a spin, a Rob Liefeld spin on the Wizard of Oz.
Oh yeah.
So Dorothy was super hot. The Cowardly Lion was like savage. The Tin Man was like a badass, Iron Man type. Toto was a wolf. So it was, and the Straw Man was like really creepy, almost like the Scarecrow in Batman. And the monkeys were like these flying paratroopers. That was supposed to be the book that I came on. But anyway, when they started it up, he said if you'd be willing to relocate to Southern California, you have a job. So I got hired. About 6 months out of high school.
So where about in your time at Extreme did this come out?
That's Bloodstrike number 4. I only did the cover on that. That was late 93. I would gather to say early 94. That I had been in the studio for about a year and a half when I did that.
Animal House.
Yeah.
Total
What's Animal House?
Extreme Studios. I've heard some of the stories, that all the stuff that went on there when you guys were living there.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, there are, initially when it started, it was kind of tight knit, and one story was one story, right? And what I mean by that is it when I joined Extreme, it was Rob Liefeld, Marat Michaels. There were 2 assistants there, a guy named Richard Horry.
I know the guy. I know Rich.
Yeah, he was doing weapons and ships and things, and then George McCarthy was doing transfers and spotting blacks, and Brian Murray and Jim Valentino would come in every now and then. But it was Rob, George, Marat, sometimes Richard. So when I joined, that was the crew, and then we moved. We were over in a place called Brea, and it was a small office. We moved from there to by Cal State Fullerton, across from Cal State Fullerton, in a place called was Nutwood. It was on Nutwood. And
by Chapman, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the 57 freeway would run along, and we were there from most of 92, early 93, and that's where the very first Image Comics office was. And but Valentino had joined then, but then we moved to the place on Catella, which was across from the Anaheim Pond and the Angels Stadium, and that's when we started picking up more people. We got Chap Yape.
Where's that guy?
He's working in animation. I see Cadis asking how many pages is Black Flag going to be. Minimum of 48.
Nice.
The thing I have broken down and layouts for is 48, but every now and then I hit spots where I want to expand. But 48 is the answer. So then we had like Chap joined the studio.
Matsuda.
Yeah, Matsuda. He came in mid 93. I remember we went to Chicago. We did a signing for the Extreme Tour in Chicago, and that's where we met him.
Picked him up on the way.
Yeah, we did, and but what ended up happening is mid 94, right around the time I was working on Black Flag. That's when the studio kind of exploded. When I went to shows, I would talent scout people. So I found guys like Shelby Robertson, Pat Lee, Logan Libera, Dietrich Smith, and there were other guys too that came. Tim Townsend. We also had a few known guys come in: Dan Panosian, Art T. Bear, and
Ian Churchill.
Well, that was later. He was never part. Ian Churchill was never part of Extreme.
He was awesome.
He was part of Awesome. Yeah,
right.
he was 99,
Nice.
90, 98, 99. But what ended up happening as the thing grew, it broke up just like anything does into little pockets.
Factions.
Yeah. So you had like the when you said Animal House, there was a place in Anaheim that Rob had bought as sort of a dormitory that had like Marat, Larry Stucker, Tim Townsend, a bunch of other people. They lived in that house, and that was a bunch of single comic book artists that were, crazy. At my house, it was, and I put up my place. It was Pat Lee, Shelby Robertson, Dietrich Smith, and Logan Libera. There were a couple other, but yeah, it ended up becoming segmented. So a lot of the stories that I hear about Extreme, some of them I wasn't part of. Like when they spelunked down the side of the building, I wasn't there.
What?
Yeah. The one on Catella, they put a grappling hook on
Like
the edge of the
Batman?
building. Yeah, and they
Shit.
spelunked down the side of the building. There was another time where we bought these big foam glider planes, and we were taking bets on who could get this glider plane to hit a car on the 57 freeway.
Oh,
and the 57 freeway was a good 100 yards, from this building. 2400 East Catella. If you guys have Google Earth, you can see how close it is to the freeway. But we would catch good drifts, and there's stuff like that. So we did have wild times, Nerf fights, Kumites, actual fights, other crazy stuff. Oh, that's early. I drew that one there. The one that says "Let's Party." That was June 19th, 1993. That was my 20th birthday. I drew that at Dallas Fantasy Fair, and that's where I met. Yeah, that's where I met Jaime Mendoza, who's now an inker, Mark Walters, who's a journalist. And they introduced me also to the work of Todd Knock, who was a friend of Jaime's, and I brought Todd's ash cans, spatula, spiff, and a couple other ones back to the studio, and that's how Todd got work. So
and then Todd won that Extreme Talent Search too.
Who?
Todd
Knock?
Yep.
Nah, he didn't win the talent search. I brought his ash cans in.
My man, I'm gonna.
If they say there was a talent search,
there was an extreme.
Then that's optics, because the way Rob saw the way Rob saw Todd's stuff is me bringing it back from Texas after Jaime and Mark gave me his ash cans, and so I still have those ash cans.
A buddy of mine submitted a story to that damn search, a chapel story in a bar, and like 6 months later, pre-internet, Todd Knock. Who the hell's Todd Knock? He won the.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Yeah, that might have just been Rob putting that talent search out, me showing him Todd's stuff, and he's like, "This is the guy." You know what I mean? Like it could have been a simultaneous thing, but Rob saw Todd's stuff in '93.
J-Bot was a little curious. Concept art and cover art. You have any plans to do something like that, and like a actual book of that stuff?
Yeah, the next campaign after this first Black Flag Pineapple Perception is going to be the original series in I don't want to call it an omnibus because there was only 6 issues worth of stuff. There will also be a black and white pencil version of Pineapple Perception, a sketchbook, but along with the reprint of the original series, there will be tons of art and concept stuff. It's just to make it a nicer, better book. So yes.
Dakota. I know Dakota. I know you're watching somewhere, but if you ever needed any more evidence that Eric Larson's lost his damn mind, he never had it in the first place. He told Fraga, "You don't have what it takes," and you just.
That's the nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. This is the exact story. I'm waiting in line to meet Stan Lee. The Marvel Masterworks had just come out. He was coming to my town. Oh, it was Oakland, California.
WonderCon, right?
Yeah, WonderCon. The line was so long that it went down past the Marvel tables into Artist Alley. So I work up a conversation with Eric Larson because I'm standing in front of him, and he was working on Hulk at the time, and I said I'm gonna get Stan's autograph and I'm gonna give him some artwork. And he said, he'll just throw it away. And I said, no, he won't. He said, yeah, he will. I said, he'll want to keep this. And he's like, why? And I said, well, I'm going to be a comic book artist one day. And I'm going to work with Stan Lee. and we're going to have a good laugh. Like, I was very confident. I'm like, we're going to have a good laugh about the time I was a kid, and gave him some artwork. Like, that's how I thought as a kid. Still think that way. That's why you always say I'm a chill dude. I always think about the future, man. Like, you always want your past to have people say, like, that dude was a good dude. You know what I mean? Like, that's behave like you live in a future where you're a good dude, and you will always be a good dude. So anyhow, I say, yes, I'm going to work with Stan Lee, and he said, let me see that drawing. And I hand him the drawing, and he looks at it, and he goes, you're going to be, you want to be a comic book artist? I said, yeah. And he said, well, what do you do? I said, what do you mean, what do I do? I go to school. And he goes, you have a job? I said, yeah, I work at Bellaroma Pizza. I make pizzas. He said, well, I hope you make good pizzas, because you're never drawing comics. And he handed me back my drawing. That's exactly word for word how it went. And I remember thinking, in my little 14-year-old body, thinking, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I heard in my head. Fuck you. And then I do remember, because, karma was really fast. That was either it's WonderCon 88 or 89. Yeah, I'll have to look at when the Masterworks came out. But, here I am in 1993, doing Bloodstrike, which was only, only 4 years later. And less than a year after Dragon 1. Dragon 1, I think, was June or July of 92.
Yeah.
And Bloodstrike came out in May of 93. Dragon number 1 did a little over 750,000, whereas Bloodstrike number 1 did 1 million. So I made sure, not only because I did kind of rub it in his face a little bit when I was at the first Image meeting. I'm like, remember me? Like, remember me? But I had to quantify it with yeah, here we go, dude. I outsold you.
250,000.
Yeah, this kid, who never is going to draw comics, and he did some posturing. He said, "Oh, well, I did you a favor. You could have been,
What a dick.
Yeah, you could have tucked your tail and never drawn, and I would have been right, but you proved me wrong, and I did that for you." It's like, fuck off.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck off, guy.
Oh,
Man,
man.
when people do that, they try and take credit for something like that when they know
let him have it, dude. That guy lives in his own world.
Yeah, like up there in Berkeley, surrounded by all that craziness, man. It just deteriorate everything.
That's why he's a douche. All right.
Just check out his book, man. It's just it's porn. There's no other way.
Well, listen, man. The first, I have all of the archives, because I am a fan of his art.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I stopped. I literally stopped buying the Dragon in the 90s.
It used to be great, man, with the Vicious Circle and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's just he's drawing bodily fluids in it.
I don't need that in my life,
me neither.
ever.
Well, not in comics.
Not in a comic. So the images that you have up right now, that's Black Flag 2.
Mm-hmm.
I based it very much off of the Mucker painting by Frank Frazetta. I wanted something that felt kind of cosmic and Star Warsy, but fantasy. And when I saw that painting, I was like, yeah, that's it. So I basically ripped it off. And the other image there is the first time Liefeld and I, we didn't talk for, I don't know, almost 15 years. And we ended up talking, and he said, listen, I'm doing this Bloodstrike thing, and I want you to do a cover. I said, cool. I want to do all the boys, blasting away. And he said, okay, have at it. So I drew that, and that was 2015, I think, 2014, 2015.
Damn, that's phenomenal, man.
I still own that piece of art too. I still have it.
For long.
No, for long. I sold it. There's a couple pieces that I sold, and I always have like certain pieces that I don't ever want to get rid of, but people make me dumb offers.
Mm-hmm.
And when I mean dumb, they're fantastic offers. I say, here's my caveat: I will sell you this piece at that price, but if you ever ever have to get rid of it, I am your first call, and you have to give me the opportunity to buy it back. So that's this piece and the ad from Black Flag, the very first ad for Black Flag, I bought back from the owners because
So that was in 15. So before that, you were just working at Mattel and
yeah, no, I was working at Mattel when I did this piece.
Oh, snap!
Yeah, I did it when I come home from work and on weekends.
Yeah, because when I saw you pop up on that He-Man book, I was like, finally, DC got someone to fill that void once EVS split, and then you bounced out, and I was like, where the fuck did you go?
Yeah, no, that was a He-Man was. I mean, I guess we'll get to that when we get to it, but
Okay.
You said you said you had some questions and some talking points. So
Okay, gotcha.
hit me with those. I'd rather stay linear.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
So I've heard you say you mentioned that you were hesitant at first to fully join CG.
Comicsgate. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Want to elaborate on that? Some of the stuff that some of the crap
you
got?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing: is and the very first time I heard about Comicsgate at all was probably 2017, and it was some milkshake thing, and I wasn't I didn't know who was involved. I just heard the story. Some girls were harassed, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, that's stupid, like because I didn't read the news. I was working at Mattel. I was very focused on work, and it was sort of a periphery. I wasn't really following comics too much, but it was like, icky yucky Comicsgate bad, right? Like that's generally it. Then at some point in maybe later 2017, 2018, I was talking with Ethan, who's been my pal for years, but I hadn't talked to him in a while. And we were just talking about comics, and he's telling me about his plans for Cyberfrog and, all this other stuff. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And he had invited me to come on his show. And someone, I was talking to someone about it, and they're like, oh, he's Comicsgate. I'm like, wait, isn't Comicsgate supposed to be like
a hate group?
Yeah, hate group. And, I'm like, that's not the guy I know. There's no fucking way. Like, and so what I realized was, no, Ethan's not, he's not changing and becoming this thing, which must mean all the things that they're saying about this are probably not true. I should take a look.
Yeah.
And get sort of an understanding of the real timeline, ask real questions, see who's actually saying the things that are being said negatively, find out about, this stuff, because clearly, my friend being part of this thing that they're saying bad things about, this thing can't be that, it can't be bad. So I looked into it, and then I just was like, yeah, that's stupid. I can hang out. I'll hang out with Ethan as much as I want to.
Yeah.
So I did. I started going on his shows and, being absolutely okay with it and not giving any shits about.
As you shouldn't.
No, absolutely. But I wasn't. I would what you call at least what people would call Comicsgate friendly, or Comicsgate adjacent, or whatever the terminology they want to use. But I was the kind of person that had no problem with it, because there was no problem to be had as far as I could see, because all of the negativity was coming from the outside looking towards it, and I started wondering about those motivations. So, but at that point, it was still all just talk. And when I talked to Ethan about it, he would tell me like, yo, these people are awful. I hadn't even heard the term SJW at that point. He just said, these people are awful. They will attack you. They'll do this, that, and the other. And I'm like, dude, that sounds like a bunch of fucking animals. No way, no how. Like, and I was still kind of living in naiveteville, but then came the day that my Cyberfrog Blood Honey came in the mail, and I put it back here on my spinner rack, and I made a video about how excited I was that my buddy's book got to me and how it was worth the wait because it was late, but absolutely worth the wait, and how excited I was. And then the
Out came the wolves.
SJWs came out and started calling names, and when I said, wait a second, like, that's not my friend, then you are not saying the truth, and like all this stuff, they started calling me names. And then I started getting phone calls and midnight, what they call night letters, telling
Yep.
me, denounce it and all this stuff. Somebody went as far as telling me that they didn't, because I was building an interview show. I interviewed like 25 pros. And I haven't aired more than, like, I still have 20 of them still. Plus these other ones that I got calls about asking me not to air them because I talk to Comicsgate people, and how dare I, and I need to tell other people I talk to Comicsgate people because they can decide what they want to do with me, and and I'm like, the fuck is this? This is like the Inquisition. Go fuck yourselves. And that's when I made my video. That I was so pissed that morning. Because it had happened the day before.
Yes.
And I remember I had to go to Best Buy to buy something. And on my way back, it just started rolling in my head, and I just got mad. I just got really mad, and that's when I ended up making the video.
That was the one where you said, "I'm Comicsgate, come get me."
Yeah, I'm Comicsgate, come get me. Like, fuck you. Like, you guys are dickheads. Like everything that it's all projection. Everything that they had to say about Comicsgate, about being intolerant, and all, it's all projection. And I realized, because I've had people that I'm still friends with. There are plenty of sound-minded people. They go, dude, don't you understand? By going over there, you'll have this perception and this, that, and the other. And I straight up said, listen, I would rather be with these guys that have this perception, knowing that it's a falsehood, than be over here spreading bullshit. So, I am picking sides, and this is the side I'm on.
What's that saying? I'd rather die for the truth than live for a lie. Yep.
There you go. There you go. I see JBot2K asking a question. Do I still storyboard the Doom Patrol show? Well, the new season that is playing right now, I storyboarded. They have not kicked off season 4. If they do and they ask me back, I'll probably end up doing it, just because I've been there since season 1, and there's a consistency that happens. So we'll see.
Comicsgate is it's counterculture to me, and counterculture has always been synonymous with punk rock. That's why I got the cyber frog tattoo and the black flag tattoo. People go, what does that mean? I go, it means counterculture. Right now, this culture is a marshmallow culture. A bunch of wimps and crybabies crying about everything. Man. So
that
with a badge of pride.
The thing that's crazy to me is we started off this particular line of topic where I lived in that bubble, and I didn't.
You got red pilled.
I wasn't necessarily a consumer. I've never liked the news. I call it news programming. It's called programming for a reason, because you're being programmed.
Yep.
I've always said that, and I've never been a fan of the news, but I would turn off things around me and just kind of put blinders on and focus on what was in front of me. And what ended up happening once I joined in and became very aware is it's almost like I got spidey senses. It's like when the stuff happened on January 6th, the TV was on in my house because my mother-in-law and my wife like to watch the news. And I started getting pissed. And they're like, yeah, did you see this insurgents and da-da-da? I'm like, that is not what it is. I said, I'm pissed because of the language that the news is using. They're appropriating language, and they're twisting words and putting it's this juxtaposition of what's happening versus what they're telling you is happening. Mm-hmm. And that really pissed me off. And then this whole Rittenhouse case, the way it was presented when it happened, you go, oh shit, some kid went over there and started picking off people at a Black Lives Matter. Oh man, that's insane. That's going to incite problems, blah blah blah. And then I forgot it, because it's just this fucking piece of shit that the media's got floating around, and I just kind of bat it away and focus again on what I'm doing. But then my buddy Nick Rekieta started streaming the trial, and I started watching it and just going, the news was at it again, like trying to paint pictures and give people this window. This is what we want you to look at, and this is how we want to shape your thoughts, when it's actually not true. And Comicsgate, just being part of Comicsgate, helped me see a lot of the bullshit that's around us. Basically, I know that if it's on TV, it's bullshit.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even to this day, it's well over a year past all of that stuff. To this day, I was talking to a friend of mine just yesterday, and he was like, "Oh, the kid took a gun across state lines and this and that." And I'm like, "Do you even do any research, bro?" Like,
right.
None of that is true.
The thing that pissed me off, because we were at the store, my wife and I, they say opposites attract. There are plenty of things we have crossover on, but like certain opinions of things we don't. And we were going to Walmart today, and my daughter said, "Oh, I want to get some ice cream." I said, "Anything but Ben and Jerry's," and
Get that man a Perry.
Yeah, and my wife's like, "Well, why?" And I'm like, "Because they're fucking perpetuating lies that they're trying to say Kyle Rittenhouse was out there shooting black people, and that did not happen. That's a fucking fallacy." And she's like, "What? Oh, we don't need to talk about this." I'm like, "No, this corporation was actively spreading misinformation. I will not support that company ever again."
Yep.
The end.
Now you see why I love him, Squirrel? Now you see why I love him?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so back to comics.
Yeah.
Well, J-Bot here was talking about.
Oh, he's got a question about the process.
Yeah, exactly.
The way it works is this stuff works very fast and furious. I get a call or an email from production saying, "Hey, Dan, episode 2 is going to go into pre-pro. Are you available for a Zoom call tomorrow at 10 a.m.? Yes. Please send me the script and any sort of characters that I may not be familiar with in any locations that you may have." Okay, cool. They send me that stuff. I review the script. I review the materials they send me. I get on a Zoom call with the director, a lot of times the AD or the DP, and I have my Photoshop or my iPad open, and I'm like a stenographer. We talk about the scenes that need to get drawn, and we walk through it. But I draw. When I say I'm like a stenographer or a court reporter, they'll go, "Okay, we're going to start with a wide shot of the barn." Okay, cool. Like this? Yeah, that's great. Okay, and we're going to be in the inside, this character, and this character are here. Do you want, and I'll go, "Okay, how wide do you want it?" Okay, and I ask questions to kind of find what the angles are, and I draw them as we go. And then I by the end of the meeting, which usually goes about 2 hours, we have a series of roughs. I usually send them those just for their own reference, because they'll have meetings about it. And then I'm left alone for how long it takes to draw a frame. I draw those frames up. I put numbers, labels, arrows, indications, things like that. And it gets sent off to the script. And it gets sent off to production. And usually the scenes that I storyboard are the ones that require more approvals. Any sort of talking scenes, not really boarded. But action scenes, anything with special effects, those get boarded because they're all discussions. They cross over multiple departments. They have to know what camera lensing they're using. They have to know what angles they're using, if there's CG involved, if there's practical effects involved, all kinds of stuff. Like one of the ones that we did recently, and hopefully no spoilers, is there's this sort of Sesame Street style one with puppets. And there were challenges based on the location of where we could have a puppeteer. So it wasn't a pie in the sky situation where we can board it any way we want. There were specific angles we had to use. So that scene was entirely boarded out to make sure that we could accommodate the restrictions of the set and still tell the story in the best way possible. So that's That's essentially a quick version of what the process is like.
Damn, he said that all in one breath too.
Yeah.
I noticed back in the or lately, like with Mike Barron, Shane Davis, when you go to back their projects, there's more retail level tiers, and I got a strong feeling I'm looking at somebody that might have had something to do with that.
Maybe. I mean, it's always discussed. I mean, that's the thing is we do talk amongst ourselves, and we want to create the best scenario for everyone, right? We want to,
Right.
as creators, have the freedoms. It gets dangerous too, you know. It's like when you have every option, there's almost too many options. You can get analysis paralysis.
Yes.
But we also rely on each other's experiences. You know, it's like someone over here may fumble, and we go, "Oh shit, what lesson did you learn from that?" And it's kind of like a living entity that is evolving, and it knows, like, fire bad or whatever. So when we discuss retail tier options, we want to. There's many things to be considered. Like. Obviously, there's our number one concern always is our customer. That's number one, like hands down, no matter what. Customers number one. So we don't want to do anything that is, especially on that intimate level of that transaction. We don't want to do anything that alienates them. So you don't want to say sell a book for $25 and then have a retailer version that the price margin gets to a point where when it's sold at a store, it's sold for less. So then the person who paid the $25 now feels like they got shafted over quantity. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
there's that balance. There's also once it leaves, as a creator, I'm also essentially the retailer in a way. So once it leaves my hands and goes directly to the customer, I know it's the most pure transaction possible. And again, this isn't just my opinion. I'm just covering issues that could happen. So one of the issues that's discussed is, let's say you buy in on 100 copies, right? We have had, and this is I'm not talking to you as a retailer. I'm talking, when I say a retailer, I'm talking in general, right? Uh, we as creators spend a lot of time on our social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, telling everybody about our books and getting people to understand what it is that we're about and what the book is about. So that sale, we are talking to them in that sale. Again, we have sold directly to the customer. When you sell to a retailer, there becomes this precipice of, I imagine selling, let's say I sell 20 copies to a retailer that maybe they're Comicsgate friendly, but maybe they're not salespeople. And again, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking general. They put them out on their rack for $25, just like you get on Indiegogo, but that retailer isn't a salesperson, for example. And those books sit because nobody's ever heard of it. The point of getting it into a shop is to get it in front of the people that may not necessarily watch YouTube or see the presence. But without somebody selling that in the same way, we're Black Flag is getting compared to Spider-Man. And who is Black Flag? I know who Spider-Man is, but who is Black Flag, right? So that you have to have that leap of faith going in. Like I don't have any questions about you. I know your enthusiasm for comics, so it wouldn't necessarily be an issue for you. But
I saw the shit out of it.
Yeah, I know that. That's why I made sure to let you understand that I'm talking about this avatar of a retailer, not specifically an individual, but just here's a product, here's a creator, here's a retailer, here's a customer. You don't want to create barriers. You want to create the easiest way for people to get and enjoy your work.
Now, see,
And
I think that ultimately that onus falls on the retailer because they go through it every month or every week when they're looking at this thick ass diamond catalog, and you're going through everything, and you got to pick and choose. Okay, do I order this book? Do I order that book? Is it going to sit there? Is it going to be in the $4 for $1 bin? I
Right.
think that ultimately that onus falls on the retailer. But
True.
I do believe that what you were saying about whenever you buy, whether it's Ethan's book, your book, I bought Shane Davis's book, when you get it at that price point, you're getting your money's worth. You're paying a premium and you're getting a premium product in return. You're not going to get 22 pages and a shitload of ads, or
Right.
you're going to get pure content. Starblades, dude, that thing was just so beautifully drawn. All the extras he
Yeah.
gave you, it was probably underpriced at $30
Yeah.
or whatever it was.
Well, that's
So-
see, but you have an understanding of how to get an unindoctrinated customer to get the gist of why these are priced this much and these are this much. It's like a great example, and we've talked about this before in the groups, is you can get a Hyundai, right, for
Mhm.
for $19,000, and it's a car and it takes gas and it can drive around, but it's not necessarily a great car. It's a car, right? But then you can
Well-
go and get a Mercedes Benz, which has been made entirely better, which is in a different price point. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're
Yeah.
both cars, they both take gas, they both have steering wheels, but one is immensely better and better made. You can't. That's why I'm saying you couldn't necessarily, if you're a retailer who goes, oh, okay, A, B, C, and you put your stuff out, or a DC and Marvel section and an indie section. Well, am I going to be put next to I don't know, Black Flag is next to Buffalo Bill or whatever comic in the indies? Like, how is it arranged? How is it presented? And like, do you understand the
Yeah.
dilemma?
Yeah, and there's some publishers that are doing that now. They're setting up these guidelines, and I'm not paying Cadis to say that either, Dan.
Yeah.
He says, I never heard of Black Flag until I got your sticker right there at the register, and I got the damn
Dope.
little video. I'm going, I wish I had a poster. I mean,
That's dope.
Oh,
it was-
you wouldn't believe how many times going in there, and I've heard Indiegogo, Black Flag, Pineapple Perception.
My man.
Dude,
over and
appreciate
over
it.
again, all the
I
time. We
appreciate
love
it.
it.
This guy started out just as a customer. He'd get there like an hour early, and then
Yeah.
once I found out he was military, I was like, oh, you like bullets? you
You like bullets.
I got a book for you, and I was showing him the video and going like, damn it, I wish I had a poster or something. But I think ultimately, I mean, whether a shop owner knows how to push a book or not, that's on them. And if they live or die by the sword, but all the CG books right now, if I had access to them to display them on the wall the way they deserve, I mean, it would blow away 95% of the stuff that comes out every Wednesday. And I'm not just blowing smoke up your butt because I'm fanboying out, but I mean, the books you guys put out collectively, is Cecil ever going to have a book come out, or is that just a grift?
I don't think it's a grift. I've seen stuff. So
Okay. But I'm just saying that stuff is revolutionary, and only because you guys did it before in the 90s, and like I was telling you off camera, all those guys in the 90s, they got money now, bro. And whether you know it or not, you've been drafted into my cabinet to make comics great again. You're going to be my VP, man. Spoiler 24.
Let's go.
Let's do it, man.
That's why you got Spoiler 24 right there.
That's right. We're going to bring cross-hatching, chromium, hollow foils, everything. You put shiny on stuff, it sells gangbusters, man.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. Man, I hate that Robin. That is one of the worst.
You can take that up with him, man.
I
want none of that smoke, man.
That both of these drawings, the one of Bad Rock, I drew in Amsterdam. I was stoned out of my mind. I was
No.
Yeah. Of course I was.
That's hard to believe.
Doing what you do in Amsterdam.
Mm.
And that's back when it was a guilder, not a euro. I was telling my kids about that. My wife always rolls her eyes because I've been to Europe and she hasn't.
Mine too.
Yeah, and I always tell her, I said, before the euro, Europe was awesome. You know, when you go to Italy and you're spending liras, and you go to Amsterdam, you're spending guilders, and now it's all the same currency and things are twice as much. I digress. I drew that Badrock stone out of my mind. And then that drawing right there of Robin, that's out of John Cogan. John Cogan was the controller, accountant at Image Comics, and he brought that to me. I was working on Bloodstrike at the time, and he asked me to do a Robin, and I did that in his sketchbook with watercolor. I look at it now, and I'm like, oh god, it's so bad. But you know, I was 20. I was 20 when I did that.
You look at it, and I'm sure, like, because when I draw things, I look at, you know, fingers and all sorts of mistakes I'm making. Like, just lines look terrible to me looking at it. But then the wife looks at it, she's like, oh, that looks real good. I look at it and I'm like, man, that's amazing. The colors, especially with like the watercolors and all that, how it kind of fades along the side there. And I think it's awesome looking.
No homo. I'm
it's
looking at the tarantarans.
Yeah, the thing is it's the curse of the magician, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and what I mean by that is, like, if you are a fan of magic and you go to magic shows, you go to be entertained by the magic, and you go, whoa, that's great. And then if you become such a fan of magic that you learn how to do the tricks yourself, you start going to shows knowing how they do the trick, and now you're starting to go, I'm now being entertained by how well this person is doing the trick that I know how they're doing it. So when I look at art now, because of 30 years of doing this, I'm looking at it in a completely different way. So like when I look at this stuff, I'm like, oh man, I did not know what the fuck I was doing. And you know what I mean? Like it's like the curse of the magician.
Yeah, but it still looks great.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Man, you want to tell your Liefeld and Marvel check cashing or pickup story?
Oh yeah, that's for the chat. So back when this is 96 or so, Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee were approached to do something called Heroes Reborn. Jim Lee took on Fantastic Four, Hulk, and Iron Man, where the Avengers and Captain America, I forget what the other one was. I don't know if we got 3 or 2. But anyway, Extreme handled Captain America and Avengers. And during this time, they had this deal. Rob and Jim had a per-issue deal of what they would make per issue. And also during this time, Marvel was going through bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
So they were finding every single way they could to not pay those guys what they said they were going to pay them. And Rob wasn't having that. So what he said is he wasn't going to give them the work until he got paid. And they tried to pull the checks in the mail situation, and he said no.
Fraga's on a plane.
Yeah, I'm gonna send my guy with a zip disk with all the files, and you're gonna hand him a check.
Nice.
So I flew to New York. I had my buddy Nick pick me up. Went to McDonald's downstairs, got myself something to eat. Went upstairs to Marvel, let them know that I'm their guy that has the disc, that they're to give me a check, and that they would not get the disc in their hands until I took that check and deposited it in the bank.
Nice.
And having the check clear. And once it had to be a cashier's check and all that stuff. So once it cleared, I went back to Marvel, handed them the zip disk, went back to my friend Nick's house, got totally blasted out of our minds. Entenmann's used to make this terrific thing called a Viennetta cake. I don't know if you guys remember that. You guys remember Viennetta cakes?
Vaguely.
It was like, basically it's like ice cream lasagna, but it's fluffy,
geez.
right? And instead of noodles, it was thin, same. You've had dipped cones, that thin chocolate. The noodles. Imagine that thin, crispy chocolate, smooth, melty chocolate with like fluffy whipped cream and vanilla ice cream. Anyway, I remember being with Nick, and we got blazed. We listened to Wu-Tang Clan, ate that whole Viennetta to ourselves.
Damn.
And then we were fucking
Big
munchied out.
boy.
We were munchied out. And then he took me back to the airport. I have that video somewhere, and we were freestyling the whole way. I found like a bunch of old videos I made, so I have some of the freestyle rapping, some of the stuff at his house. I have the McDonald's visit. I did not turn on the camera inside of Marvel, but then I flew home, and that was it. That was the secret mission.
Yeah, man, you were ahead of your time back then with the video blogging. Now people do it, and they're called First Amendment auditors. Shit.
Yeah, there's something that it's so weird, man, because I did it. I've always been obsessed with time since I was a kid. I used to in drafting class, they had those tearaway calendars, where each day, and I used to collect them because I created this story in my mind that there was this magic calendar, and all you had to do is go back in time is to grab the day. And
hang on, I'm writing that down.
Yeah, so then I have audio tapes of this stuff too. I used to because I didn't have a video camera yet. This was the early '90s. I used to document everything on one of these, except with the micro cassettes. I have a digital one now, but I have like old little mini cassettes from like '92 going. I'm working on Bloodstrike page 3, panel 5, and I'm like discussing on tape. And then when I got a video camera, I just started doing that on camera. Like I'm working on Kid Supreme number 12, and I just got this Mountain Dew can and whatever. But yeah, I used to do little video blogs back in the day.
There it is, man. That is awesome. Look at that. So, guys, I encourage you. For those who aren't privy to Indiegogo, can they still back this campaign? I know
they can. I'm leaving it open in demand, even up till after we fulfill. I'll probably keep it open for another. I'm going to say probably another month after we fulfill, just for people if they want to pick it up, because one of the things that we learned is there's this with some guys like John Malin. He has his technique is John Malin's technique is to keep it limited, cut it off, it's done, that's that, right?
Yeah.
And he creates his fervor from the FOMO, fear of missing out. He creates that fervor that way and doesn't offer the book any other way afterwards. But then there's another technique where I've seen guys like Zaid Comics do this, where they start fulfilling and they keep the campaign open, and people start getting the book and showing it on Twitter and doing flip throughs, and word of mouth makes some other people go, oh my God, I want to get this before it closes. So the book actually being out sells more books. They get this sort of like 5% spike based on the fact that the book is good. So I'm going with that. I'm leaving it open until probably a month or so after we fulfill, and then it goes away. And then the next campaign will be the compendium, along with the sketchbook, along with the art version of this book. And then I haven't decided if I'm doing the Grave remastered version right on those heels, or jump right into Pineapple Perception 2. The thing I want to be able to do, and one of the reasons I'm having these campaigns in between the main book campaigns, is I want to, like I was saying earlier, how things evolve and grow and you learn. This next time around, I want to be a lot more ahead of schedule than this particular book, which basically started at 2 pages and then got the ball rolling, and of course got sick. And anyway,
it wasn't a good year.
Yeah, it was the 2020 and 2021 physically. I got pretty chewed up. But that said, anything I can do to create lead time and still create the kind of product I want to do, I'm going to do that. And the way I'm going to do that is by spacing them out a little bit.
Well, I backed this thing numerous times, so whatever extra copies I got, I'm gonna adorn on my wall. And
appreciate it.
Yes, please.
Let me.
What?
Oh, I'm gonna do something here real quick.
What are you gonna do?
Just for the audience. I'm gonna do this.
Allow me to reintroduce myself.
I created Black Flag back in 1994. It was pure escapism. I want to draw guys with big guns. I want to draw anime babes, wizards, aliens. Cool, put them all in one book.
Rascal!
Black Flag is literally wish fulfillment. High energy, high octane, 90s style action, relentless, doesn't ask for forgiveness, high bullet count. There hasn't been that in comics in the same way that I'm going to provide it. Sniper decided that he was going to go back into doing what he does best. He went and he took
got back
all
issues.
of his gear, which had this shield on it with his flag, and he blacked out all the flags. He has
I want to draw now.
to anybody but himself.
I like hearing that.
Yeah, you inspired me to actually get off my butt and start drawing again.
In Black Flag issue 1. Ragtag.
That's good to hear.
Here to save our world, all of them
Raiden.
magical. And we are going to see so many bullets, so much action. This thing is certain to blow people's minds. That's basically what Black Flag is all about. Let's go.
Hey, people are asking, you're going to be at any cons? You got one this weekend, right?
Yeah, in fact, tomorrow I fly out tomorrow morning to South Carolina. Charleston, South Carolina for the Charleston Con. That'll be Saturday only, and then next weekend, Sunday only, I will be in Fort Myers, Florida, doing a show on the 28th, Southwest Florida SuperCon. And then I don't think anything else until the new year, and I know there's like 4 planned for the beginning of the new year. If you want to share my screen, you'll be happy to see this stuff. I just got off of the Professionals, and we were talking about the origins of Black Flag, or origins of each of our books. And this is actually the very first sketch I ever did of Rascal. I wish I had these. I don't actually own these. These are particular ones. This one went to a guy named Gabe Ramirez, who was an intern at Extreme. But he still has this. This is the very first drawing I ever did of Rascal. I designed it on the piece of paper, and I gave it to Gabe as a gift. Let's see. These are layouts from Black Flag number 4. This is double pager of Rascal from Black Flag 4. And then this, of course, was the layout for the cover of number 4. But those were in the old archives from back in the day. But yeah.
Good grief.
Oh, he's asking West Coast. Cadis, there are two caveats for the West Coast. Number one is travel needs to be taken care of. Like if the show flies me out and puts me up, I'm good. But the other thing is, and we're going to get back to politics again, guys. I will not get the jab. You can put me in my grave first. I'm not getting the jab. I don't trust it. I don't believe the hype. I don't believe any of the numbers. I don't believe any of the verbiage changing of to with and playing with deaths and cases and manipulation of people's thoughts and, telling people that this thing will stop you from getting it and then changing it again to it'll help you not die to, oh, you can still spread it to, oh, you need 2. No, now you need 3. We're going to change the term of what fully vaccinated means. If any place says you have to be fully vaccinated, you will not find me in that place.
I know a place that would love to have you, and you don't have to be vaxxed. That's Comic Cult HD, man. If you're ever on the West Coast,
yeah,
we'd love to have you, bro. Love to.
Yeah. Get me out there. Get me out there. Put me up. I'll show up.
All right, Jerry. We got to go. Get the RV going. We'll go pick them up and bring them back.
Oh, you're talking
know,
a
right?
5-day road trip?
Not the way I drive, man. Hammer
Yeah,
down. I'm a
yeah.
trucker.
That'll be that's it sounds like the beginning of a fucking movie. Like, what was that one? Get so and so to the Roxy. It's like, get Fraga to Comic Cult.
Yeah.
And then
That's
all
right.
the shenanigans the whole way out.
Well, realistically, that piece of art I showed you, if you had to put a dollar amount on it, what is it worth? It's not contingent on what we talked about. I don't know what the hell the value.
The Liefeld piece?
Yeah.
I don't know, because that market is really strange when it comes to
It's volatile.
It's volatile, but it's almost in the fine art territory where they go, what period of that person's career, and I'm not even listing priorities. Number one would be, are there key characters? Is it a key moment? Is it a key issue? What part of the career is that person?
It's got Warlock.
I know, but it's Rubenstein Inks, I think.
Yep.
And it was a pinup in the New Mutants Annual. I wouldn't know. I know the right guy to ask would be Liefeld. And,
I tried, but he just like big time me once. Once you came under that thread, he just like, you don't want to talk to me no more. Chorizo. Well, because I was gonna say, is it worth a couple covers? Store exclusive, Comic Cult logo on the Black Flag book.
I thought you said it had nothing to do with our deal, man.
Well, I'm not trying to big time you on it. I'm not trying to hold you up. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely the original deal I'm down with. It all boils down to how much time I have.
No, as soon as you get Black Flag done, man, I'd love to.
Yeah.
What are we looking at time wise on Black Flag?
Dude, it's really hard to quantify. Like, that's the part, the mistakes I've made, because I had the way I was quantifying it before were the pages I was doing on He-Man, which I look at those and none of those meet my standard. So, and also, like, I can look at something like, for example, the double pager of Sniper standing on the helicarrier looking out at the city. If you asked me before I did it, how long do you think that'll take you? I would look at it and go, maybe 16 hours. It took 50.
Oof.
You know what I mean? Like, it took 50 hours, and that's just because that's what it took when I put my head down and just started going, and then was done with it. And I did playback on the. That's the thing about Procreate, is you can do a time lapse playback, and it'll give you a clock of how long you've worked on it. And it's not just it, and the clock isn't even based on, like, if I start drawing and lift my pencil up.
Mm-hmm.
The clock stops. It's not timing. Nice. It's not timing me when my pencil's away. It's only timing brush strokes. So that's 50 hours of the pen actually touching the board.
On paper, yeah.
So that double pager in work hour weeks and actual physical pencil touching the board took 50 hours. So when you say when, I go as soon as I can get it done, because I want it done too. Yeah. But I also know, like, I've got a sequence where, and I don't want to give spoilers up, but there's a sequence where the team, I'm just going to talk in code, where the team has to form Voltron and fight this muck monster that's made out of the city, for example.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a fucking beast when by the time I finish it, because of the level, I don't know if you saw if you saw the latest update with Geisha's motorcycle transforming around her body.
Look at that, dude! Transforming motorcycles.
Yeah, the hardest part of that, the most difficult part of that was you can conceptualize something. Oh, chick jumps out of a helicarrier and her armor transforms into a motorcycle, and you go, oh man, there it is. Yeah, that sounds really cool. But then you go, okay, how do you make that look badass? How do you make it look sexy? How do you make it look logical, like it could actually happen? Those end up becoming real problems, because you go, okay, well, it comes up out of her suit. and the wristbands become the handlebars, and the things on her sides inflate in front and behind her and become the motorcycle, and the seat pops out from where her underwear, her crotch area, it becomes the seat, and you go, okay,
Pocket rocket.
yeah, but then you also have to make it a composition where you still look at it and it looks badass. Because like what I studied a bunch of the scenes from Transformers, where the Michael Bay films, and as awesome as those transformations are, he hides the transformations behind wipes. So, for example, you'll see the car, like let's say it's Bumblebee, it'll jump up and you'll see it start to pull apart, but then there'll be a bunch of sparks, and then you'll see it sort of changed, but then like a wheel will come in the foreground, and then it'll be more changed, and then it's the robot, but you didn't actually see the thing do the thing. It's all editing and trickery. You think you see it transforming, but what you're seeing is sparks and wipes. So what I realized is he's planning these keyframes where you can see the clarity of what the transformation looks like, and still tells the story, but you still have to logically know like what it looks like together, what it looks like mid, and what it looks like fully transformed. So that was like a major challenge of this piece, and that was probably the part that took the longest. Like getting the details in there, yeah, it's time and hours of putting the detail in, but getting like so you could still see her body, still see the tires, still see every bit of detail that I want you to see, and still make it look sexy. That was a long order, a tall order to satisfy, but I'm happy with it. It came out good.
Oh yes, indeed.
You're thinking on like a fourth level chess tier, and I'm still stuck playing marbles, man. Everything you just said broke my brain.
I will. It will be. There'll be two versions. Drained is so funny, such a funny word. We will have a all pencil version and an all ink version, and you'll be able to get them together in one volume or separately. As well as there's a thing, I don't know if you guys ever heard of it, is Chirata Katsuya had this thing called Rakuga King where he put all of his sketches together in a book. We're gonna have that as well. So yes is the answer.
Okay, so the book's a work in progress. But what about all the extras, like a hat? I need my hat, man.
I know you do. Those I'm wrapping up, but I have to close those parts of the deal. Like you'll notice if you go on the campaign now, you can't buy shot glasses, you can't buy cards, you can't buy that stuff, because once I get to a certain number, my different vendors that are manufacturing this stuff, they have to have your full order in. I can't just go, okay, I'm ordering 50 shirts. Oh, and by the way, I need another 13. I have to like lock it. So the hats and shirts are still selling, but we're gonna lock it down real soon. And the guy who makes them is actually not too far from you. I know you guys are out in the West. He's in Buena Park. So I'll probably lock down the orders for those. There they are, before the year's up, and then those will get made. The hats are embroidered. The shirts are silkscreen. Those are getting made, and then those will be ready to go out. So the only things that are gonna be going out before the books are the shot glasses, the hats, and the shirts. Because everything else, the coins, the dog tags, the cards, those are designed to go in the Gemini mailer along with the book. So shot glasses, hats and shirts are going out quite soon.
Dog tags, I like it.
Yeah.
Now, you were a little cryptic. I don't know how much you want to give up here, but are we going to see this pop up like on one of the apps, like Key Collector or something? Because
you're gonna. In fact,
oh yeah,
yeah. That's why when I said to you, you're gonna want to hold on to some of them if you buy some. Is when I did this book, I did it not ever believing that I was going to put it in print. I put it out as a challenge, a web comic. It got picked up by IDW. IDW helped me whip it into shape as far as fixing all the typos and things like that. But they did not promote it at all.
Nope.
They didn't promote it, and when all was said and done, there were only 1,900 printed, and of that 1,900, I think 1,100 of them went out in the wild, and comic shops, and then another 400, I think, went to bookstores. No, I forget how the spread went, but 1,400 of them went out either through Amazon, Barnes and Noble, or retailers. When you think of that, 1,400 is less than half of the Ninja Turtles first print run. For issue 1. Issue 1 of Ninja Turtles has 3,000 copies, so there's only 1,400 of them in the wild. So I realized quite quickly, because this is a book I absolutely believe in. I think it has, out of any of my ideas, has the most potential to be picked up and turned into something, whether it's a TV show, a miniseries, whatever. I think if any of my ideas become anything outside of a comic, it's that one. And so I believe it so much so that when we do crowdfund it with the all color new remastered version, one of the tiers, which is the most insane tier that you can get, is you can buy every single original, all 367, because there were a couple of extra pieces, plus all of my notes, all of the art supplies used to make it, and the TV movie rights. That's going to be one tier.
Nice.
And it's $250,000. And whether
plenty of
whether or not it'll sell, people will definitely want to talk about it. But what that's going to do is a couple things. Number one, people will talk about it, because who sells movie rights on Indiegogo? Like, that's bizarre, and it's bundled in with a tier of you're basically buying everything but the publishing rights. So I own the publishing rights, and you're basically buying the idea, and you're buying all the art and all the assets, right? Now, what that'll do is it'll create a story around the original book where people are going to want to buy the original book. Same way that the original Black Flag went from a 99-cent book to a $10 book. It went up as high as a lot higher, but it settled in around $9.99. But it still spiked. This
talking
book,
retail?
Yeah, I'm talking, because I've seen them on eBay. I've seen them.
Yeah.
I've seen that Black Flag preview edition on eBay, as high as, some people
20?
are crazy. Yeah, at the highest, when Black Flag was set off, it was like up in the 70s. But now you see people that are crazy selling it for 20, but more than likely the average is around, okay condition, around 5, but up to 9. But it used to be 9. It used to be a dollar bin book. Well, that's a book that had 83,000 copies in circulation. Okay, that
Still more than Savage Dragon.
Yeah. And so that Black Flag preview edition had 83,000 copies out in existence. This particular book only has 1,100 in existence that are out there. So that means that if somebody wants to, if this thing becomes a series, or if it becomes a topic that people talk about throughout, that book that you're holding is going to go up in price. So what I ended up doing, knowing this will probably happen, is I bought a bunch. I went out. Man. No, but I mean, I bought them directly from IDW, because that extra 500 copies that they had was for damages and things. But when I bought my publishing rights back from them, part of the deal is I couldn't just buy back my rights. I had to buy all of their back stock. I had to buy it outright back from them. So that was part of the deal. So I'm sitting on a few cases of that book.
I can help you move them.
I know.
What about Gear Station? I'm
not going to talk about that.
Oh, okay.
No, not in a bad way. Gear Station is very much on my mind all of the time. That's my only breadcrumb I'll give you. Gear Station is on my mind all of the time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Can you ever see yourself going to work back for the big two, or is
Never again?
Wow.
Never again. There's nothing they have. There's absolutely nothing they have. I love Batman. I love Spider-Man, but I mean, outside of them going, look, man, we'll give you like, $1 million to draw one Spider-Man book. I'd go, okay, well, cool. Baby needs new shoes, like
Right.
fine. But no, there's honestly that like they could go, dude, we'll get you, this, that. You can put Green Goblin, you can put whoever you want in it. You can do whatever story you want. I can do whatever story I want over here. Suck it. Like, that's how I feel. And, I'd much rather draw my characters than theirs,
Nice.
Why
nice,
babysit when I can play with my own kids?
I know the answer to my next question, but I got to ask it anyways. In the comics collecting hobby, there's one camp of people that's strictly it's Stan Lee, and the other camp is Jack Kirby. You're either one or the other. I know where it's at.
Yeah,
but
I was friends with both of them. But I am 100% in the Jack camp. And that's not saying anything bad about Stan. Stan was quite pleasant and fun to be around, but in the battle of who created the fucking comic book boom, it's Jack.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's that one meme with Jack and says, "I'm Jack Kirby. Maybe you heard of me. I created Stan Lee."
Yes, it's true. Between him and Ditko.
Right?
Stan had his talents, though. Stan had his talents. No denying Stan's talents and his contributions. But, dude, good idea. Well, this is how I have to say it to my kids, and this is probably a bad example using what we're talking about, but it's almost there. It's almost there.
Yeah, it's like a Beatles or Elvis camp,
Yeah, well, Beatles, but I know that's probably a sin for a lot of people. I know. See, look, I just broke your heart. I like them both, and I've never been to Abbey Road, but I have been to Sun Records. Let's just put it that way. But so the this is what I tell my kid. My daughter, she wanted to go to a convention with me, and she created these trading cards with cats on them, and she goes, "How do I sell these, Dad?" And I said, "Well, you got to have they could be the greatest cat trading cards of all time, but without like a twist. They're just going to be another thing at a Comic Con." She's like, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Here's a rock. Would you buy this rock?" And she said, "No, it's a rock." And I said, "But what if I told you that this rock had been waiting 1,000 years for you to be born and to meet you, and that's your soul rock, and that rock, you can name that rock, and when you take that rock is super happy because it's been waiting forever for you guys to come together, and it comes with a little box, and it's got all the stats, and you can write your name on it, and you can adopt that rock."
Hang on, I'm writing this down.
No. Well, you shouldn't write it down because it's a real product. It's called the Pet Rock, and it sold like fucking gangbusters back in the day. But what I told her was it's the same rock. It's the same rock, right? And in regard to Stan and Jack had the greatest rock ever, and he could have sold it himself because it was the greatest rock ever. But Stan did throw a little zazz on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I never discount Stan completely, but Stan ain't shit without the rock. Stan is a bunch of blah, blah, blah without the rock. He needs the rock. The rock doesn't necessarily need him because someone would have bought the rock. But Stan definitely put the zazz on it to make more of themselves.
So how many cards did your daughter sell?
Well, I told her about price points and margins. And I taught her the marketing about the medium popcorn. Do you know why the medium popcorn exists?
Enlighten me.
It's a bridge, because when you look at the small popcorn, and let's make up a number, it's $1, and then you look at the medium, and the medium is $1.80, and then you look at the large, and the large is $2.10. You go,
$18.
yeah, you go. Wait a second. Well, if I'm gonna get a meat, that one's only that much more than a medium. They go for the large.
Mm.
The medium is there to bridge them from small to large. It makes them think I can get. So I was teaching her, like, sell them individually, but also sell them as packs, but also sell them as a super pack, but have the super pack only slightly higher than the medium pack. She sold out.
Nice.
My daughter sold out too.
Yeah.
And I know she's watching right now. And is there any chance I could get you to just show that thing up? That I still got it. It's still
Let me go. Let me get it. Yeah, I keep it in my recording office. So
nice.
Hold on a second. Give me a sec.
Ad lib, Jer. Ad lib, Squirrel.
Oh, okay.
What'd
Let me
you
do
think,
this.
man?
While we're doing this.
Do that.
All right. Just want to let everybody know, don't forget to come on over to YouTube, Comic Cult TV. Give us a like, smash that subscribe button and the notification, and share with your friends.
There you go.
There you go.
Right
Addy
there.
Ramirez. There it is. See, he's still got it.
I have a where I do all my recording for, like, when I do my rap stuff. I have 3 good luck pieces in there. I have this.
Nice.
I have a Rainbow Charizard card in a slab, and I have my Rakim House of Blues ticket. Those are the 3 things I keep in that office. So, thank you.
You are an elite company. You got a doll.
Yeah.
EVS got a cyber frog, and
Oh,
put it up. Yeah, he put it up, and he was all cool. And he's like, I got to go over to Addie's attic and make sure she's not selling cyber frog stuff.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. He's always got that in his mind, like bootlegs and things.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm a friendly. Give me books to sell. And unfortunately, Eric Larson's got one.
He's a dickhead.
Yes, he is. Well, Fraga, I really appreciate you giving us a little Fraga dust, that Fraga sprinkle. We saw a great influx to this small but budding channel. This door is open to you anytime, my brother. I know.
Appreciate it, man.
You ever want to come back and just shoot the crap, or maybe judge our FOC show? I think this was a lot better.
What is FOC? Something of comics?
Final Order Cutoff. It's
FOC. Yeah,
FOC. Okay. You done with FOC?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know me. I used to work at Diamond. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, I worked at Diamond back in the days when Capital still existed. Remember Capital?
Up until Marvel bought them out, right? No, Marvel bought Heroes World.
Marvel's bought Heroes World, and then Capital, I think, dissolved. But yeah. I forgot that. Final Order Cutoff. Yeah.
That's where we go into the list and spotlight a bunch of indie books. What to get. Like,
so you go through. Are you going through previews? What are you going through?
I go off Diamond's FOC list that comes out weekly.
On their website.
No, on the Comic Suite app. That sucks. Oh man.
Oh man. Well, see, you're doing all that technology. When I worked in a comic shop, we did it all on paper and fax. Like, we'd go through previews and we'd go through the order form, and
I've heard the stories. This shop was open in '89, so I still get the old owner. FOC show is rigged against the spoiler. Yeah.
What?
We turned into a little game here about who's got the better picks, And,
I've won one time.
Because you cheated.
It's rigged against the spoiler?
Because you cheated.
It's because we always have biased judges.
You're lucky you can beat me up.
So that's what you do is you both you guys pick your picks, and then the judge says, hey, these are better picks?
Yeah.
Yeah, he picks 12, I pick 12.
That's so subjective, though. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But it gives a spotlight on these books.
And what an indie is now is different than what an indie is then. It's like
not Marvel or DC, but we do them too.
Marvel and DC can suck it. Like,
dang.
What we're doing now with Comicsgate, that's the mainstream. They're the lame. I call them the lame stream. They're the lame stream. They can they can have.
They hurt my feelings what they do to Superman.
Yeah.
Did you get your copy?
Oh. No,
he's like, of course not.
No, I can't. And they're selling at a higher than cover now. That's disgusting.
Oh yeah, $10-$20 in the secondary market right now. It's ridiculous.
Not at Comic Cult cover price.
Oh yeah.
At least till next week.
Yeah.
But Squirrel, how does it feel to be in the presence of royalty? Because we got a Comicsgate king gracing us. And
that always that makes me chuckle every time, man.
It's awesome, man. I've peeked in on a couple of your streams, the Fragtober streams. I jumped in on there a bunch of times and sent you a super chat saying hi.
Thanks, man.
But those were marathons, man.
That was hard. That was hard. Like right around like the 20th, I remember thinking, month, please be over. Because it takes a lot out, you know. It's like,
dude, you had commitment, man. You did it from conventions. You did it when you weren't feeling good.
Yeah,
fucking Iron Man. When's the next one?
October.
Oh, geez. Oh my god,
a year, 11 months from now.
Did you see Silvestri put out a 30th anniversary hardcover for Cyberforce?
Yeah, I saw that. But wasn't that a Kickstarter?
Yeah.
I don't fuck with Kickstarter, man.
Yeah, gatekeepers. I understand.
Yeah, gatekeepers.
Gatekeepers, kind of like weren't they working at Wizard back in the day?
I don't know. I don't know who's there. I just
I mean gatekeepers.
Gatekeepers. Oh well, that's a whole nother. Are you going? Is that another line of questioning? Because Wizard started off.
Stole my money.
Wizard started off as seemed like it was fans of comics making a magazine about comics, but in reality, what it was is Wizard was a retail shop.
Yep.
And ran by Martin Shamus, and his son Garib said, "I want to do this magazine," and they cheese. Yeah, the Big Cheese got a bit of a business loan, hired some of his buddies, and made this great, fun fan magazine. Yeah. And then Image guys helped out with cards and covers and things like that. That is awesome, J-Bot. I love it hearing that when people draw. That's like my whole point of my channel. It's just getting people activated. But what ended up happening is they started getting too big for their britches. They wanted to start dictating what was what. And they would do payola, like you want. Yeah, I know. It's just shocking, right? Why do you think that Wizard Top 10 list was always the same and you probably wouldn't agree with a lot of it? And why do you think certain things were covered and they also happen to have like 10 ads? It's because they bought 10 ads and then they got covered. Wow. You see? So there was a lot of payola, and Rob didn't want to play the game and screamed at Garib. I remember hearing the phone call. "I'll fucking come to your office and kick your fucking ass," is what Rob said to him. And then that's when the Wizard kind of turned against Rob and turned against Extreme. And Wizard was, I mean, a lot of the people there, I still love them. I met a lot of really great people that worked there, but as a whole, Wizard was a shit. It was a big shit.
See, you're not going to get this on Robservations.
You might.
No. Have you listened to his stuff lately? Nah, it's more of a exposition on the comics history, but he won't.
That's cool. No, I mean I
listened to it.
I'm probably 5 or 6 episodes behind. I try to listen to them when I can, but there's like, for example, I listen to Masterclass, that website Masterclass where they teach you how to cook or how to make music or how to do marketing.
Okay.
I'll listen to that stuff, but then the whole Rittenhouse trial put everything on pause. Like that's all I have going on now.
Sucks you in.
It does. And the good thing is like the comment, like that's something you can listen to and not have to actively like put your eyes on until they put an exhibit up,
Nice. NASCAR cat car. I know that guy. Fraga, I know you got time. You got things to do, books to draw. Yeah. Much love and respect and appreciate you. And this door is open to you whenever you want to come in.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me, guys. Great meeting you in person, Squirrel. Like this. Yeah. And it feels like in person in the days of streaming, it does. And thank you, chat. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, YouTube.
Adios, true believers.
Greatly appreciate everybody. Dan, greatly appreciate it. And you, all of y'all out there, you know what I have to say. Later, Comic Cult Nation.